So raise your hand nice and high if you or someone you know has ever had knee pain. Cool. Yeah, lots of people. So, good thing. We're all here. Tell me, what does pain in your knee, foot, or ankle, what sorts of activities does that stop you from doing or make them more difficult or painful? Running. Walking. Lunges. Yes. Jumping, squats, deadlifts, everything. Whoa, yeah. So you're telling me that pain in your knee, foot, and ankle limits nearly everything you do, or makes it more painful or less enjoyable. Everything. All right. Well, yeah, good thing we're having a workshop on it today, right? So I learned a fun fact that in the U.S. this year, there are like 265,000 knee replacements a year in the U.S. alone. And that number is expected to climb to 3.5 million by 2030, right? That's a lot. That's good quick math. So it's like 1,600 a day, because like that number is big. So like 1,600 a day that's supposed to climb to like 9,500 knee replacements a day in the United States. It's ridiculous. That's what it is. So why do we get there? Because fun fact, so we have this like insane number of knee replacements a year, but the knee is the strongest joint in your body. It's pretty stable. It's strong. So why is it that we have this crazy number of knee replacement surgeries when it's the strongest joint in your body? Question for you. What do you notice about the location of the knee in relation to the hip and the ankle? Yeah, it's in the middle. It's right in the middle. So while the knee is very stable, it often has to take up some slack and deal with insufficiencies in the hip and the ankle. So it's strong, but it has to often take up a lot of slack in your body or deal with insufficiencies. So if we have this big problem, right, we didn't used to need this many knee replacement surgeries. We need quite a few now, and it's only expected to grow. Why did we get this way? And the knee's strong. How did we get this way? Well, as our society has become a little bit more sedentary, like we do a lot of sitting, not because it's right, but because it's convenient. A lot of jobs now require you to be at a computer all day, and it's more convenient to sit than it is to stand or walk while you're doing it. We go to our kids' sporting events and we sit and we watch them, and then at night at home we like TV and shows and we sit and we watch. So we just do a lot of sitting in our day-to-day lives. And what happens is that causes a lot of mobility and strength deficits in the hip and the ankle. And then who has to take up the slack? The knee. It's a theme. It's a theme. We're already catching on. So really, when we see people come in with knee pain, we want to remember that in any sort of pain, it's not always exactly where the pain is that's the cause of the pain. And that is the case a lot of times with the knee. So if we want to look upstream and downstream, because pain can travel down or it can travel up, depending on where the actual quote-unquote injury is, let's look at both of those places. So let's start at the ankle. If we had a society that walked over a lot of uneven terrain, went hiking a lot, and did all of those things and didn't just walk on, flat sidewalks and flat office floors and flat gym floors, probably we wouldn't have as many of these insufficiencies or stiff or weak ankles. But the reality is that a lot of times we spend a lot of our day, the majority of the day, in the seated position where our ankles are really doing nothing much at all. It causes them to be tight and weak. Same thing with the hip, right? We spend a lot of time sitting. Some of the biggest and strongest muscles in your body are the drivers, and they are around the hip, and they support our posture. But again, we spend a lot of time sitting, and this just wasn't really how we were meant as humans to be built, right? We were supposed to be upright, walking, solving problems with our bodies and our minds, and doing all these things. And just the problems that we tend to solve these days, a lot of times the reality is that a lot of our problems need to be solved by sitting down at a computer, because that's a lot of the jobs in today's society. So what happens when you're in this position is a lot of the muscles around your hips become weak. So first step is these muscles will become weak. From there, the central nervous system knows that they're weak, and they'll start to lock up on you a little bit. and it's a protection mechanism. Kind of like if you've ever had a back spasm or something like that, and it kind of locks up and feels really tight. It's a protective mechanism. Your body is helping you while it's painful. It is helping you. So when our muscles around our hips get weak, then they become tight. Generally, that's the order. Doesn't have to be that way, but that's generally the order. Weak and then tight. And again, if our muscles around our hips become tight, who picks up the slack? The knee. Our poor little knees. They're so strong and so stable, yet they're sandwiched between two really mobile joints, right? You can move your ankle all sorts of different directions. You can move your hip all sorts of different directions. But the knee kind of only goes one way. It's designed to be that way. It is more stable that way. But we want it to all work together in these things. So the good news is that it's relatively easy to rehab a knee, especially after an example like a knee replacement surgery. It's a pretty straightforward trajectory, right? You can go to physical therapy. They will get you back and gain your strength and all of these things. But you're not really done rehabbing your knee until you investigate, well, why did my knee hurt in the first place? Why did I need a knee replacement surgery, right? So I want you to get good at thinking about, well, why? Why does my knee hurt? Why does my shoulder hurt? Whatever it is, not just going right to the source, but thinking, well, okay, we need to address the concerns on why the knee was hurting in the first place. So how do we do that at Evolve? We have kind of a standard hierarchy of needs that we will look at. So if you were here at the very first workshop, we did this. I'm going to test your knowledge. Do you remember what goes at the base of the pyramid? Anyone? I've said it quite a few times. No coaches. Stability. No, it's a good answer, but it's not the base of the pyramid. So I've said it a few times that, like, what types of do we need to pay attention to at the ankle and the hip? Mobility. Mobility, you guys got the second one. Yeah, there we go. Mobility. The bottom one, flexibility. There we go. So everyone put your hand up like this. Take one finger, bend it back as far as you can with your other hand, and bend it forward as far as you can. That is the flexibility of this joint. So me using an outside force, how flexible that joint is. What is mobility? What's the difference between, yeah, someone's doing it back there. So the mobility is if you put your hand up like this, how far back can you bend your finger, and how far forward can you bend your finger without the use of your other hand? So generally we have a little bit more flexibility than we do mobility. Same thing with, if we use the hips as an example, if I could go down using a pole and hold the bottom of a squat, but I can't hold it by myself, that's the difference between my mobility and flexibility as well. Or if when I have weight on my shoulders, I can get lower into my squat, but when I don't have any assisted weight, I can only go to there. That would be in your hips, the difference between your flexibility and your mobility. Does anyone remember what's next? Strength what? There's another word that comes after strength. Yeah! Bingo. The next one up is your strength balance. What does that mean? What does strength balance mean? What are your ideas? Come on, I know you guys know this. What do you think? Anything. Anything's a good answer. Like pistol squat. What is a pistol squat? One-legged squat. Okay. So strength balance, one of the definitions is meaning how strong are you on your right side versus how strong are you on your left side. Another one is how strong are you on the front of your body versus how strong are you on the back of your body. Now, you don't have to be equal, but we have some ratios that we shoot for people that are working on kind of becoming a whole, balanced human. Anyone remember the next two? I'll give them to you. The next one we had was work to rest ratio. So how much are you doing on your body versus how much are you recovering? Kind of how much your work to recovery ratio. And then the very, very top, we have skill. Now, a lot of gyms will go right to teaching you skills. They'll teach you how to clean, they'll teach you how to squat, all these things, and they don't always address the mobility, flexibility, and making sure you're balanced right to left. So that is where we come in. And specifically, that is where we work to help get people out of pain, all right? So bringing it back to the knee. Mobility and flexibility are first. But what we find is that most people don't need to gain more flexibility and mobility in the knee. When people come to us with knee pain, now we're not dealing with acute, like I tore my ACL kind of knee pain. We're dealing more with chronic knee pain, or I've had the knee surgery and I want to continue to get back into my daily life, sport, etc. So most people, they can straighten their leg and they can bend their leg to the extent that they need to. Right? So it's not always in the knee that we need the mobility, flexibility. Where is it? Hips and ankles. Yes, so we always try and look at the joints surrounding the point of pain. So if someone's having knee pain, one of the things that we might look at is the flexibility and mobility of your hips and your ankles. From there, we also like to look at strength balance, meaning, is someone as strong on their right leg as on their left leg? Or are they stronger in their quads than they are in their glutes and hamstrings? Those can cause just different imbalances, which again can cause pain as we go through. And from there, we might talk about work to rest ratio with them. Are they way exceeding their capacity than when they are at the gym? Are they working super hard? Are they working themselves to the bone, as we say, and sleeping 2 hours a night? That could just cause lots of different joint pain in your body. So making sure that they're there. But this is where we start. Flexibility, mobility, and strength balance. And not necessarily flexibility and mobility in the knee, but in the hips and the ankle around there too. All right? So in our breakout sessions today, we're going to have 3 stations. 2 of them are going to be focused on flexibility and mobility. 1 of them is going to be a focus on strength balance. So we're going to break off into sessions. We're going to spend about 10 minutes at each little station. 2 of them on flexibility and mobility, 1 of them on strength balance. Then the plan is we're going to regroup, talk about what we learned, what we found, how it applies. The first part of this is all kind of applicable to the knee, the hip, and a little bit of the ankle. Then when we regroup, we're going to talk a little bit about feet stuff as well.